Hey everybody, I just wanted to do a little short refresher video if it's helpful for you to look at before you dig into your LEQ 1. So again, this is everything that we went over in class. This is just a little refresher if you need to review it. All right, so again, the part that we're looking at here is the LEQ. This is taken during the second half of the AP test. You have 40 minutes, 5 minutes to prep, 35 minutes to write, and it's worth 15% of the overall AP score. So just to give you an idea, these were last year's, well, not last year's, we didn't have LEQs last year's, 2 years ago. So these were our prompts 2 years ago. So you'll note that they're from different units. So there'll always be an option from units 1 through 3. There'll be a second option 4 through 6, and a third from option 7 through 9. Okay. And these are the ones that I shared in class, partially because this was kind of an outlier year where we had lots of economy questions. So 2 of the 3 were economy questions. Really, all 3 are economy questions. And they were just really complicated. So we definitely want to share that. So just know that sometimes they're cut and dry and sometimes they're not, especially that first prompt. So as you can imagine, not many people picked that prompt to write on. Most people picked the Civil War question or the 1950 to 2000 question. All right, reminder there are 3 types of LEQ questions: historical causation, that's cause and effect; CCOT, continuity and change; and compare and contrast. And again, this is down from 4 in previous years. We no longer do the turning point types of questions. Great, so remember that in your packet, you've got examples of all of these. So just want to run through a few of them here. So this is causation. So you're describing the causes of a historical event, development, or process. You might be talking about the reasons for that cause and or effect. Okay, so an example prompt: evaluate the major causes that led to the development of a second industrial revolution. So remember that you need to rank these causes. So you're not just saying cause A, cause B, cause C, done. You need to be evaluating how much. Which are the most important? Are some causing other causes? Are they kind of falling like dominoes? So just remember that you need to rank the causes. So be thinking about which causes are the most significant. This is a way that you can organize your information when you're prepping. Again, under normal circumstances, you'll be doing this with pen and paper. Obviously, this would be a little bit more challenging if we do end up in a situation like we did last year where we're doing things online for the AP test. So take this with a grain of salt. Graphic organizers can be really helpful in terms of organizing your information. CCOT, this is probably the most challenging kind of prompt, and we're going to spend some more time practicing CCOT in the coming weeks. Okay, so continuity and change over time and the reasons for that change. Okay, so same thing, you have to take a stand here. You need to determine whether or not there's more continuity or more change and make sure that that is represented in your thesis. Okay, so this is a way that you can organize your essay in this way by using a timeline of the top half being change and the bottom half being continuity. Or you can do 2 timelines. You can do one that's a straight line and one that's kind of jagged. So the straight line would be continuity and the jagged one would be change. All right, and comparison, describing similarities and differences among historical events and processes and explaining the reasons for their similarities. Okay, now be careful with these. Don't fall into the trap of just describing topic 1 in paragraph 1, describing topic 2 in paragraph 2. So you need to be comparing them together. Okay, so those comparisons need to be explicit and concrete. Venn diagrams are always a really nice way to organize comparisons. So feel free to do that. Very similar to how we set up our practice prompt in class, even though we used a chart, but a same basic idea. Again, be thinking about, are they more similar or more different, and why are there more similarities or more differences? So you can see that this is a different type of Venn diagram. I like to call these AP Venn diagrams. So this is kind of the next level for Venn diagrams. So you can see that there's a bisecting line there. So feel free to do that if that's something that is helpful. So category 1 could be political. Category 2 could be economic. Again, just an option there for you. Okay, on to thesis statements. Remember the 3 Ps: prompt, position, preview. Okay, address every piece of the prompt. Just remember, these points are 1 or 0. So if you've done most of these things, but not all of them, it's still a 0. So make sure that it's historically defensible. It's not something that can't be defended. Don't do that. It's taking a position. That's where you're going to be saying it's more similar, more different, more continuity, more change, that sort of thing. It's hitting all pieces of the prompt. You haven't left anything out of your thesis. You're not just restating the prompt, and you're previewing your argument or your reasoning. It shouldn't be a surprise to your reader about what you're going to be talking about. I should have a really good idea about what I'm going to see before I even get into your body paragraphs. All right, so reviewing the planning periods. Remember, you want to take 5 minutes to plan. This is such a good investment of time into your essay. It's going to be so much more organized. You'll feel better. I'll be happy when I read your essay. All right, step 1, read the prompt. Like I said, you can freak out, but do it quickly. Take 30 seconds, 45 seconds, and then get to work. So start plugging in, read the prompt again, and then start really accessing those memory banks. So just, you got to determine the HTS, so the historical thinking skill. Is it causation? Is it comparison? Is it CCOT? You've got to get your topic. So is it, colonization of the French and British? Is it reasons for ratification of the Constitution? What's the topic? And the most important piece, the time period. Because remember, if there's anything in your essay that is even 1 year out of the time period, your reader, whether it's me or the AP readers in June, they're just going to pretend like it's not there. Okay, so it doesn't help you, it doesn't hurt you, but if you spent a bunch of time writing this great analysis on something that's out of your time period, that's wasted time and space. Then do your brain dump, just throw it all out there. Remember, do your word vomit, put it all down. And remember, no one is ever going to grade your prep, even on the AP test. So don't worry if something's wrong. List out your PEPs, your people, your events, your places, get into your fluency facts, do a graphic organizer if that's helpful, and then make sense of the mess. So figure out, can you use categories? Can you do political, economic, social, intellectual movements, art, things like that. So how are you going to organize all of this information? Is it going to be similarities, differences? So you decide, but just make sure that everything is being represented from your prompt. And then write your preliminary thesis. And then if you somehow still have time before that 5 minutes is up, double check it. Go through that prompt word by word. Make sure that it's all represented in your thesis. And reminder that this is what your document is going to look like. Again, LEQ 1 is going to be very regimented. So you'll be able to use this as kind of a checkoff list so that you don't miss anything. All right, so you've got your context, you've got your thesis, you've got a minor claim, just a fancy way of saying topic sentence. So make sure you've got a topic sentence. You've got your factor reference, so that's your evidence, and then do some analysis, fact and reference, analysis. You should be gunning for 3 to 4 pieces of evidence per body paragraph. Any more than that, and you run the risk of not really being able to do a good job of analyzing them. Okay, you can pair pieces of evidence together. If they go together, less than 3, that's not looking good. Okay, so try to have at least 3 pieces of evidence per body paragraph. Okay, so if you are planning and you are somehow coming up with 4 body paragraphs, something's gone horribly wrong. Okay, so try to keep it to 3. Otherwise, it just gets kind of difficult to read that many different body paragraphs. Okay, and 2 is fine. We see that a lot. We see a lot of, here's one on similarities, here's one on differences. That's totally normal. And reminder, conclusions are not required. But for LEQ 1, please try to do it. The nice thing about the conclusion, if you do have time for that if you haven't quite gotten all those pieces of the thesis point, that's kind of your last effort, last ditch effort to get that point. So it can still be, you can still get credit for that, even if it's in the conclusion rather than the introduction. Okay, let's review the rubric. I would highly suggest that you spend a good amount of time just really spending time with the rubric. So read through it, make sure that you understand it. If you're unclear on anything, please reach out to me and take a look at the sample documents that I've shared with you, both in the Unit 4 module and in the writing module. So make sure that you understand all of the pieces of this. So remember, total possible is 6 points. For your thesis, we've gone through the thesis, so make sure everything is covered there. Your context needs to be 3 sentences. Remember, if it's 2 sentences, you're getting a 0. It needs to be 3. You can't do enough in 2 sentences to really set the stage for what are going to be these complex arguments. Okay, so a nice way to think of this is going back to the Star Wars crawl, or before the movie even started, you had a really good idea about who the major characters are, what the major conflict is. You can think about too, if you ever watch a TV show and there's something at the beginning that says last time on The West Wing, or whatever the TV show is. Okay, so that's another way that you can think about it. Last time in American history, here's what was going on. Make sure that you're not using any evidence in your context that you want to use in your body paragraphs, because it will not be counted. Okay, so be really careful of that. This is where your planning comes in handy. Okay, so again, you're setting the stage. These 2 points in particular are low hanging fruit. You should be able to attain these. And right off the bat, you're at a 2 out of 6 already. Okay, probably the piece that's the most confusing here are the 2 evidence points. Okay, so remember that first evidence point is like the kind of the condescending pat on the head. Yay, you used a piece of evidence, good job. So everyone's gonna be getting that one, hopefully. Okay, so more low hanging fruit. That second point is that you're really harnessing the evidence. You're using it, you are putting it to work for you and for your argument. Okay, so you're pairing pieces of evidence up. You're going to be showing the significance and how everything's connected. You're going to be using lots of evidence. So these are all things that can get you closer to that second evidence point. So it's advanced writing, you're connecting the dots, and you're doing all of those important historical skills. All right, and then you've got your HTS, so your historical thinking skills or your historical reasoning skills. So this is, are you doing the work? Are you doing the comparing? Are you doing the showing of the causation and the effects? Are you showing continuity and change? So don't be afraid to just use those words. Do your evidence, do your analysis, and then a sentence like, this shows a massive change, or this shows continuity. This is the cause of X, Y, and Z. So don't be afraid to just use those words, just steal those from the historical thinking skill. Make sure that you go through the entirety of that writing packet. There's some great phrases in there that you can use for nuance and to try to get to some of these other points. So definitely make sure that you review those. Okay, so again, really just concrete examples of connecting those dots. This is the cause of that. This is the effect. That sort of thing. So really just hit me over the head with it. So I know that you're doing the historical thinking skill. Might be useful to go back and review that historical thinking skill document that's in Canvas. All right, and then again, make sure that you're ranking and you're showing things that are more similar, more different, more continuity, more change, all that good stuff. And then again, our unicorn point, I'm not saying don't go for it, but just say go for the low hanging fruit first. Okay, so don't be so focused on the unicorn point or the complexity point that you miss the thesis point or you miss the context point. So really just be as smart about this as you can. Again, like I mentioned in class, very few LEQs get the unicorn point. That's why it's called the unicorn point. That only 3% of all LEQs nationwide on the AP test get that point. Okay, so again, go for that low hanging fruit first. Right, and a reminder about analysis. We want to try to get to that depth. That's really the goal there. So we don't want this kind of surface level stuff that's going on here. Okay, so try to add a sentence of analysis for each of your minor claims, for each of your pieces of evidence. So again, the quickest way to get there, I think, is to ask yourself that so what question. Okay, so again, with our sample prompt, okay, the British and French methods of colonization are different. So what? Why is that important? Okay, that's going to take me to their goals and motivations. It's going to take me to their relationships with Native Americans. It's going to take me to their economic relationship with the mother country, all of those things. So just keep doing that until you can't answer that question anymore. And just think about significance. Why is this significant? So that's another way to get there. Okay, and just wanted to point this out that at the bottom of your practice prompt, you also have this. So this is a different prompt, but this is still useful. So it is divided into this chart so that you can see kind of how things are working through here. Okay, so you can kind of walk through and see all those different pieces there. Make sure you take a look at the color-coded sample essay. Just note this is a CCOT essay prompt. And note that this essay could be improved in terms of organization. But I think you'll see that they've done a really good job with evidence. It is just chock full of evidence. They've done a really good job with the historical thinking skill. They've worked really hard at complexity as well. So make sure that you spend a little time and take a look at that. So again, today you should have already seen your prompt. So it is in Canvas. So there's a document there. You're just going to make a copy, and then you're going to put your essay in there. So you're going to have the format. Please don't erase the formatting. So keep it in that same structure that you're going to see here. Okay. If you want to really kind of get the true LEQ experience, prep and then put all your notes away, set a timer. Set a timer for 5 minutes to do your prep. Set a timer for 35 minutes to write. And that'll give you a better sense of kind of this experience. And then when you're done, you're going to be submitting it to the Turnitin.com LTI. Also, in the meantime, feel free to practice. We've got the document of sample prompts. There's close to 20 different prompts. You've got a selection of each type of question. So take a look at that. So that's something that you can always use. You can set up an appointment with me. We can, you can create an outline for any one of those prompts, and we can chat about what works and what needs to be fixed. So again, this is what your document will look like when you get it for LEQ1. Again, please don't erase, these headings. We want to keep this really regimented so that it's easy for me to read and it's easy for you to see what you still have left to do. All right, and again, just wanted to share with you where you're going to be getting your prompts. Again, it is going to be in Canvas. So you'll have your prompt. You'll be able to click on that. You'll see the prompt. It'll have the structure, and just type away when you're ready. And then you're going to come here when you're ready, and you're going to turn in your essay to Turnitin.com through Canvas. So not through Turnitin.com. Like we've done previously for the reading responses. I've set it up so any document can be uploaded. So all you'll need to do is grab the URL from your Google Doc and just dump it in there, and you're all set. So just make sure that that is in there before Monday, the 26th. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask me, since we're not going to be meeting in person on Thursday and Friday. If you want to set up a meeting with me, please let me know and we'll try to set that up. Okay, hopefully that was helpful to get a little refresher course there, and good luck with your LEQ practice.